Alright, I want to jump right into this video by tracking some guitars. I know that if you're a beginner on your recording journey, sometimes those things you play when you're practicing guitar don't always translate to the DAW and to your songs. That's what I do here in my studio. I make music, I play songs, and I do it in a very overdub kind of way. I overdub drums, percussion, guitars, bass, vocals, but especially with guitars, I think about them like people used to do tracking live bands in the 60s and 70s. For instance, the Rolling Stones, you'd have Keith Richards on one side playing a chunky rhythm guitar part, and on the other side you'd have Mick Taylor or Ron Wood or Brian Jones playing something different, something complementary, throwing in some lead fills, but not playing the same part as Keith. And for my music, this works out really good. I feel like it really twists your ear, captivates the listener. A lot of times I'll play one part on the lower strings, another on the higher strings, and syncopate the rhythms. Let's just jump right in. I'm going to show you how I think about this. It's fine to track stereo guitars where you're just doubling, but I really feel like this works out better for my music. It's really gives you a lot to listen to. So I have a Les Paul part through a Bigsby pedal. It's got this little slide up riff through the Bigsby pedal. It's going to be on the left side, and I'm going to track the Telecaster on the right. I've got to mute the mic. We're doing a screen capture as well. Here we go. So you can hear there that I'm doing something on the higher strings where the Les Paul's playing something on the lower strings. It's pretty complementary. That I did there was pretty repetitive. It's a long kind of loopy thing, just to show you, to illustrate what I'm talking about. This really works out great on stereo guitars, and you don't have to be as locked into what you're doing. And I missed the changes there a couple times, but you can see that that's creating a wide stereo image and giving you a lot to listen to. When I'm doing this, it's usually shorter sections. Sometimes it'll be a driving thing, and you can bring in different effects, do different things, throw a filter in there to change up the sound. And it's just another way to think about stereo guitars. Usually people will tell you to just double it with a different guitar, different amp, but I really feel like this way works out better. If you look at the wave files, you can see we've got plenty of headroom there, but they're not little tiny wave files either. You want to go in to the DAW at a good level. I'm going in through a Chandler TG2 good mic preamp. If you're using an interface preamp, something very clean, a lot of times you'll want to put on like a Neve 1073 plug-in to give you that harmonic distortion, and it will be very musical. It will cut some of the frequencies that are harsh just by putting a plug-in in there. I hope this gives you a little bit to think about when you're tracking stereo guitars. I'm going to get into a lot more things that I do with arrangement, and a lot of this is just keep playing and keep making music and find what works for you. I'm just going to show you the things that work for me. I want to talk in this video about how we take parts and build a song, how we arrange the song, how we're not precious about parts. If they don't work for the music, we let them go. Maybe they'll come back again at another time in another song, but we do what's best for the music at all times and make a great song. So let me let you hear what I've got for my intro. This is fully arranged. It just needs drums, which I'm going to be recording on acoustic drums back there probably this weekend, and it's going to get vocals. This is the arranged version, pretty much fully mixed. It'll get a little bit done, but it's got bass, guitars not doubled but panned hard left and hard right. I like to play complementary parts on the left and right sides. You'll see what I'm talking about. They just work together. And bass, synths, and guitars ready for drums and vocals. Here's the arranged version, and then I'll play you after that what I originally had as the intro. Here we go. All right, so that's the fully arranged parts that I've built into this song. Did all the editing that was needed. Those parts came together really quickly. There wasn't much editing needed. Now let's take a listen to where the track began. When I originally came up with the idea for the song, it was in a very different place. You'll hear. So that was the original idea for the song. A lot more upbeat, both in drop D, but that's more of a rockin' drop D thing. Whereas the new arrangement is a slow build and works into the rest of the music that's gonna come along and then build into a more rocking part. But we've decided to let this intro go. It doesn't appear anywhere else in the track. We're not precious about things. We work hard on our music, but if it's not fitting the song, we let it go. Maybe don't get rid of it completely. Maybe it'll show up in a later piece of your music, but it's important to do what's right for the music. And, the music comes first in every way. That's why we do this. So if something's not working, don't waste your time on it too long, because you could be getting some other magic or making something that's more right for the piece and that you're going to end up being more happy with. Throughout the history of recorded music, bands very rarely had the chance to go actually create in the studio. There was a select few bands that could go in and lock out the studio for as long as they wanted to create, but for the majority of modern recording, most of the bands had to have the album ready before they went into the studio, because the studio was a very expensive place to be. So they would go in, sometimes just cut drums, and then go to another cheaper studio to do the rest of the record. But when we talk about how we can work in the studio, nowadays when we have home studios, it's hard because we have so many options and so many different ways we can take our productions. It's easy to get lost in all of the options and not know where to start. And you just have to start working. It's a good idea when you're playing guitar to record your practice sessions. Just record everything. probably going to find some little snippets in there that you want to use in songs. And to take that even a step further, what I like to do is to set the metronome, the click track in my DAW to a certain tempo and play to that, because having a set tempo is going to lock you in to some patterns, or at least a tempo, and you're going to play off that tempo, and just having that tempo there is a great foundation for a song. I like to vary the tempos in my music, and you just vary the tempos as you're practicing. You know, play for a while at 110, then stop that, change your click track, play at 125 or 90. And this is going to give you ideas that, while everything might not be something that you want to turn into a song, the parts that you do have are already in time, and maybe you can expand upon that with more guitars, or if they're not quite perfect, dial them in a little better, and you already have that click track ready to go and your tempo set, and you know where you want to be. It's important to just start working and don't be too precious about anything. A lot of times bands use their demos in the final mixes. Maybe it's not the main thing, but it's tucked back in. Sometimes it is the main sound that you're hearing on the record, because demos oftentimes capture the magic. And these demos can just be when you're practicing. The stuff you practice when you're woodshedding, hit record, and it's gonna, more times than not, you'll be able to pick something out of there that you can use. It's just about doing the work. Even if you don't have a set idea in your head of where you want to go and what you want to do, establish some parameters for yourself, like that click track. Or say, I'm only going to use this effect, or I'm going to use a pedal to try and inspire me to get a new sound. And oftentimes this will work to help lead you down a path that gets you more creative, and you can pull a song out of it. So between the arrangement that I showed in the DAW and showing how I like to make those stereo guitars and some little tips that I've given you now, I hope this is a good place to start for you to take your practice sessions, or even just noodling, but turn that into something more, turn it into songs. That's what people care about. You know, it's great if you're the fastest guitar player in the world and can show off for 30 seconds or a minute, but can you bring a song to the table? Can you put something out that really has feeling? A lot of times those fast licks don't really touch me in a way that a song does. So try and make music in your studio. That's what I do. I'll be back again with another video real soon. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, tell me how you like to work in your studio.